the brainchild behind S.O.U.L.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about what S.O.U.L is all about and introduce yourself as well?
Okay, so my name's Iyare. I am the founder of S.O.U.L. There's three of us who are the kind of main movers in terms of getting this done. Myself, Nuru McCarley and Lawrence Coke. And the whole history of how this worked out was that, Nuru and I regularly freelance here for the education team. And Lawrence is a filmmaker, and we was like, well, how do we get films like Lawrence's film shown here? And we didn't know the answers to that, Nuru and I. So we started looking into it, and then we realised that, if we asked, they'd let us put on our own event. So we did ask, and they did say yes, and here we are, And so then it became apparent that we would need to brand it up. So that's where the name S.O.U.L came from, Screening Our Unseen Lives. It's about giving an opportunity to people that don't necessarily get the opportunity always. So that's what our kind of whole ethos is. And then, it became apparent that we had to do something on a regular basis, which is why we do these quarterly events. If you're a black or ethnic minority filmmaker, you're never more than 3 months away from the opportunity to showcase your work here at the BFI, one of the most prestigious places that you can show a film in the UK. That's ready to go, and you're never more than 3 months away. So that's important. That makes a difference for people in our communities making work. So that's good. That's part of what we do. We don't just show their films, but we make sure it's not just about showing their films, it's about having this networking event so we can talk and get to know each other. And when I know you and I know what you can do, then I can comfortably make a recommendation based on that knowledge, So that's what it's about.
Okay, lastly, why should people come to S.O.U.L event?
I think if you're a filmmaker and you want to succeed, then you need to be part of the community that the business you're in. Film is a collaborative art. It's very, very difficult to do on your own, okay? If you want to get a film made, if you want to get a script made, maybe you can do that on your own. But if you want to turn that script into a film, you need other people, right? So who are the people that are going to help you first? Who are the people that are going to support you the most? The people that you know, the people that, the people who are like you, the people that are your family, your community. Our problem is that we don't have that strength in our community, those ties, those bonds. So S.O.U.L is all about making those, manufacturing those bonds, manufacturing those connections. And so if people, why should people come? They should come because this is a chance to meet the wider community in the film and television industry of which they're part. To see the work, to meet the people, to be part of something bigger than themselves.
Amazing stuff. Thank you so much for stopping by.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming.
Hi, I'm Mark One. I run a small branding company that does branding and film. And I've just screened my film FHPC, which is Fit, Honest, Positive, Creative, featuring the infamous, critically acclaimed George the Poet.
It was such an amazing performance, I was glued to the screen.
Yes.
Watching all the graphics that come together. How did you, come into work with the whole, production?
Well, okay, the project was, we were approached by a company called Riley Productions. And Riley Productions created the acronym FHPC, which is Fair, Honest, Positive, Creative.
Okay.
And they created it Honest, Positive, Creative.
Okay.
And they created it as a system that if you make decisions, if you check it with those values, you'll always make a good decision. So it's a human upliftment for the planet. So if everybody's making fair, honest, positive and creative decisions, we as a human race lift our consciousness.
And I'm the writer director of Queen Suite, a jazz documentary about Peter Edwards and his dream to perform Queen Suite written by Duke Ellington to the Queen.
I'm thinking that this movie, or should we say documentary, is all about a pianist wanting, to go and perform in front of the Queen. Is that right? Am I right to say that?
It's about a London-based music director, Peter Edwards, and you're right, his dream to perform Duke Ellington's Queen Suite that was written for the Queen in 1959. and he wants to perform it live to the Queen.
I'm loving the name, High Miss. What is High Miss all about?
High Miss, I guess, is a direct reference to a line in the film, sort of referring to the teacher who kind of instigates exactly what goes on in the film. So it's kind of a little in-joke, and you kind of get it if you watch the actual.
Is the film more about the teacher or more about the students?
It's definitely about the students, but the teacher is definitely involved, and I think, as I said, it's just kind of a slight in-joke, and I think it kind of adds to the comedy, I hope. I think once you watch it, you get it.
Hackney, we're going to slow things down.
Hi, my name is Marie Solange Daly, and I am the director and writer of Unwritten Griots. It's a short documentary talking about step dance in the UK, coming from the African continent. And this was a short film that I did for Channel 4 in 2007.
Okay, what is stepping?
Well, stepping to me is a form of expression, physical embodiment as well as spiritual embodiment.
Okay.
But it's also another means
Is
of...
it like a folk music?
No, it's more like a dance.
Okay, dance.
It's more of a dance art form.
Right.
And in a way, it's also another form of communication. And I think like for the fact that it was formed and developed in Africa, it was a form of unification as well as communication within different community groups. And it passed down into African American tradition. I'm sure you know things like School of Days, with the examples of the different college sororities. And you have those examples. And as well in the UK, you have little minute spaces where people do perform stepping, but it was a thing where it's not known over here. It's very rare to see that. So I wanted to show a different side of what like Black history is and what it represents, as well as not looking at Black history, but also looking at African history coming into the African diaspora.
How did you come about, producing a movie?
Okay, well, I needed a film that I could use to raise finance for a feature film, because I've written loads of feature film scripts.
Yeah.
And I was a bit I lost my way a little bit at the beginning of that film. I had to get that backstory in actually, because I was a little bit down, and I was wondering how I could kind of break into the film business. And I needed a project because I made a hell of a lot of shorts, but they just didn't make the grade, kind of thing. So I think one day on the train when I was feeling a little bit depressed on the tube, I read this article in a magazine, and it said some kind of bullying goes on in at least 70% of families in the UK.
Yeah.
So I got home and caught I think it was the last half hour of Raging Bull.
Yeah.
And people sat there, Raging Bull, people sat there, fused them together, and I wrote, the next day I wrote Who's Your Son, basically. And then one thing I was determined to do was not spend my own money on this film and get famous people. There were the two things that I said I had to do, because I spent so much money on short films before.
Yeah.
So it was a question of how I was going to do that.
Yeah.
How I was going to get those people in the film.
It's going to be difficult.
How I was going to raise money.
Without money.
Yeah, without money, yeah, exactly, yeah. So I'm going to cut a long story short. We smashed it basically. What we did was I set up a blog, set up a website. I put adverts in the Metro, other papers and stuff
So
like that.
hold on. Are you trying to tell me that you didn't spend any money and you were
Not
able
a penny.
to?
Nothing. Nothing.
You're joking.
I probably spent that basically to buy a pint for everybody afterwards.
Wow.
And the title dream for Terry Hope is now over.
My world is no longer boxing.
My name is Zoe, Zoe Salesman Asgar. I am writer, director and co-producer on Login.
Amazing. I love the film Longing, but I was a bit confused towards the end because I didn't know if it was the woman that died or the husband. So could you, tell us more about the movie.
I don't know if I should tell you because it won't make people want to go see it. Well, the story is told through the perspective of a woman, and it's telling her kind of how she is grieving and coming to terms with the loss. And I think with when you come into terms with a loss, on either side, when you think about the person who's actually on earth alive compared to somebody who has passed away, and if you believe in the afterlife being the spirit form, there is an element of loss, because as a spirit you will need to move on, you will need to let go and find a way to move on away from the person that you love. So essentially that's what my story is trying to say. I don't want to give too much away, so you have to go and see it, go and watch it.
Hi, I'm Eric Colas, and I made 50 Pence. 50 Pence is a film that I directed. I've also written it, I produced it, and I also starred in it.
Okay, what's 50 Pence all about? Because I'm getting the vibe that it's about luck. Is the 50 Pence about luck with the 50 Pence, or correct me if I'm wrong?
It's 50 Pence is I wrote it to be a very ambiguous story. But I guess it's mainly about consciousness. Not consciousness, be awake, but someone's conscious, and not completely losing it. And I try to draw a parallel with sort of gambling. Whenever this guy gets told that when he's younger, whenever you gamble, you always have to leave with something of what you came in with. So if you came with a certain amount of money, you always live with some of that money. And I wanted to draw a parallel with you come to life with a certain amount of goodness. So if you're going to leave life, make sure you live with some good of your conscience left. And so that's kind of the metaphor I was trying to draw for.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
Introduce yourself to us.
So I'm Nathan Alabanzi, the director of Olivia, which is a spoken word piece by Bam Bam.
Okay. Can you elaborate more about Olivia? What is Olivia all about?
So it's a spoken word piece around the misconceptions around the prevalent use of alcohol in young women. So without giving away the actual story, it's essentially just about a woman who's kind of perceived to be very promiscuous and looking at the underlying reasons behind her actions.
Okay. Is it kind of like, are you trying to get a message across to young women about, being alcoholic, or to be aware of more of what they do?
So it's a bit of both, yeah. So it's kind of, I suppose, speaking to young women, but also to people who judge young women who are quite promiscuous, and actually trying to get people to understand there may be reasons that you may not be aware of that lead to this behaviour. To be fair, I can give it away. Essentially, she was abused as a young adult, so it's not just about promiscuity. It's also about child abuse.
So what inspired you to kind of like produce or direct this sort of movie?
So I'm probably the wrong person to ask. It was essentially a friend of mine who's a spoken word artist. So it was really, he came to me with his poem and approached me about it. I was in a previous life an actor, and it was a chance for me to actually try and direct. Branch and direct. I've kind of, rather than actually being an actor, I really want to just make things, and I've got loads of ideas for stuff that I'd like to make. And it was the first chance for me to actually direct. And it was a great opportunity.
It's your first?
Yes, it's my first.
Well put together, though.
Thank you.
Well done.
So listen, if you want to get involved in S.O.U.L, then there's a few things that you can do. You can bookmark our webpage and join our mailing list there. That's soulfilm.co.uk. You can follow us on Twitter at soulfilmuk. You can like us on Facebook, S.O.U.L Film. Get involved in all of those places. Keep an eye on our mailing list and our updates, and make sure that you're here at our next event.